Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. You know I'm here to give you guys a COVID-19, the coronavirus update. I'm here to give you some information, but check out some of the major news sometimes. Just, check in a little bit. A couple of the questions. One question we got, and I'm going to give it here to Dave Aronberg. Dave Aronberg is the Florida's 15th Judicial Circuit State Attorney. He's the man. I got to know Dave, and Dave cares about young people. He's not out to arrest people. He's not out to get people, is what I call it. He's not like that. I wouldn't work with him if he was. All right, Dave, here's the question. If you violate a quarantine order, one of these mandatory orders that are coming down by either the governor or the federal government, what can happen to you? A lot of people want to know that.
Now, when it comes to violating mandatory quarantine orders, that's a pretty cut and dry one. Either you were there or you weren't there. So prosecutors should have a relatively easy time in charging people who violated these important orders. There's a reason why we have these emergency orders. It's to protect public safety. It's to flatten the curve. And so individuals who go out there after hours on beaches that are closed, they are risking being charged with a crime. Those people who are violating their quarantine orders, they risk being charged with a crime. And in Florida, it's a second-degree misdemeanor, punishable by up to 60 days in jail.
Thanks for that, Dave. That's really important. People need to make sure they adhere to what you're talking about and really just listen to it. Here's another question, Dave, real important. If you got the virus and you got COVID-19 and you give it to somebody else, can you be held liable? I think about that a lot with first responders. I'm sure if they had it and they didn't know it, or if they did have it, they're going to quarantine themselves. But what happens if you have it, you don't quarantine, and you go out and you give it to somebody? What can happen to you?
Now, when it comes to individuals who may or may not have the virus and act carelessly in putting others at risk, that's a tougher question. You remember Senator Rand Paul, who used the Senate gym even after he had the virus, but before he was told of his positive test. You may have heard of stories like the one of the JetBlue passenger who flew from New York to Palm Beach, even though he had coronavirus. But he found out about his positive test when his doctor texted him the test results while he was on board the plane. It put everyone on board the plane at risk, and people were understandably outraged. But whether it's a crime is a tougher matter. In Ohio, there is a statute that says that it's a misdemeanor if you have a dangerous infectious disease and you act carelessly in putting others at risk. But for other states, I would think you'd have to look at the statute of culpable negligence, which says that if you act recklessly and in so doing put others in harm's way, it could be a misdemeanor. When it comes to coronavirus, I would think that this means that you would have to know or should have known that you had the virus, and you acted so recklessly that you made it likely that other people would get the disease. Absent that, it's a murky area of the law, and legislators may want to review and modernize their laws to reflect today's reality.
Thanks, Dave. I really appreciate all you're doing. Thanks for keeping me informed, keeping people informed. But check your local area and what the laws are there. Have a great day, everybody, and stay safe.